One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot is a comparison between the human body and a factory or a machine. And it's really interesting. The reason why I think about this is that often we think in popular culture that we're supposed to maximize everything that we are supposed to do. We're supposed to be good at finances. We're supposed to be good at health. We're supposed to be good at being a good parent or friend or sibling. And we're supposed to be maximizing all of this capacity. And the reason why I bring up this idea of thinking about ourselves as a factory, I'm actually a chemical engineer. And if you were to say that you are maximizing production in a factory, most people would say that that was a bad idea in a manufacturing setting. And the reason is that things break down, that there's often what is called changeover situations where you have to change over the production line. There's often moments where you need to go down, quote unquote, down for maintenance. There is all these moments where things just don't operate as the way that you thought they should operate. And so there is a budget for having things break down or not necessarily being operating at full capacity. In fact, if you're operating at 90% in many factory settings, it's actually really good. And it would be considered a bad thing to be operating at 100% capacity at all times. And there would be questions in terms of whether you should be doing this. In fact, this is what happened in the Chernobyl disaster, is that they were trying to maximize the capacity of the nuclear power plant in the Ukraine, and that led to a nuclear meltdown. So I want you to think about all of these things in your life that you are trying to maximize your capacity, that you're thinking you're putting all of this feelings on yourself, which I tend to do, and I try to maximize the capacity of all areas of my life. And I want you to sort of think about that that is an unrealistic expectation. In fact, it's probably very much problematic. And you're going to get to a moment where you're not going to want to do this anymore, and you will have your own nuclear meltdown. I want you to think about how you can build in systems in your life as if you were managing a factory, as if you were thinking about yourself as a factory, as a production line, thinking about how can I manage this in such a way that it's going to operate for a long time, right? It's one thing to maximize everything at any given time, sort of push the capacity of what you're trying to do at any given time, but that is an unrealistic expectation, and it's quite problematic, to be honest, to think about that. If you were a factory manager, if you were a plant manager at a factory, almost everybody would say that what you're doing is poor management. You're doing the quintessential poor management role. You're maximizing everything, and what's going to happen is that somebody or something is going to break down at any given moment. So instead of thinking about the maximum capacity of what you can possibly do, and today we're going to work as hard as we possibly can, think about how you can sustain it. Think about how you can think of yourself as a factory where you are going to do proper maintenance, doing things like making sure that you are, going to the dentist. You have things like having a will, right? Like proper maintenance for the long run is an important part of operating this factory called you. Another thing is thinking about how are you going to put away for investing in yourself in the future, investing in the equipment of what you are. And so thinking about different aspects of your life where you're taking some away today to invest in better equipment tomorrow so that you can grow and develop and become a better person tomorrow. So that often requires you to make this trade-off where you're saying, I don't need to do everything today. I don't need to maximize all of my outputs. I need to actually take some of that and put it away towards something else so that it will continue to grow and it will continue to do good things. So thinking about all of these different ways, what does it actually mean for you to live a life where you're operating yourself as if a factory? Now, this is essentially what I'm doing with the Reciprocity Project. We're thinking about the longevity as, maybe I don't want to be a professor for the rest of my life. So I'm taking a portion of everything that I make and investing it into software, for example, which I think is actually a useful thing. Now, building this platform so that it can actually help a lot of people out, making sure that we're making our work as easy as possible. I think that is a legitimate thing. Thinking about how you can do maintenance on yourself, taking adequate time off is a really good thing. Having downtime where you're repairing all of the insides, right? Like your brain and your heart and your soul and things like that is a really, really good thing. So rather than thinking about maximizing your productivity today, maximizing all of the things that you're supposed to do today, I want you to instead think about survival and longevity. What would that mean if you change the equation where you think about survival and longevity so that you maximize today? Or you don't maximize today, but you think about, how am I actually going to sustain myself for as long as I possibly can? And that equation is very different. And in fact, if you were to push this out, right, to the fact that you are not living anymore, right, and you're thinking about sustaining yourself for a long, long time, that's what a lot of people sort of refer to as legacy, where you would change the equation even more. You would think about, how can I be kind and generous? How can I make sure that other people feel good, so even when I'm passed away that they would think about me? These are far different equation calculations than what you would do to maximize your potential today and maximize all of your efficiency today. I want you to think about that in as every way as you possibly can. Change the conversation that we have where you are not thinking about the here and now, the ultimate productivity that you have today and at your maximum capacity, but thinking about the future. So even with your financing, for example, you think about taking away 10 to 20% of everything that you make so that you can sustain yourself and invest in longer term growth for the future. All of these things are very useful. But it requires you to change a lot inside, and it change a lot on how you view what is going on in the world around you and how other people actually deal with it. Where you simply have to say, I'm not going to behave like other people. This is a different calculation. It's a hard calculation, but I think it lends itself to living a healthy, long-term life. Try it out. Operate as if you're a factory. Remember to be okay with taking time off. Think about all these different elements of your life where you would not maximize the potential today so that you can ensure survival for the long run. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.